Hello there, Wen. Okay, so well done for taking action, sending in your first essay. Um, yeah, I'll be correcting your essays this week, and then for the week after, it'll be back to Ellen. So let's have a look. As more people concerned, as more people are concerned about the traditional method of teaching, some people suggest that students should be taught in a more active classroom, while others insist on academic orientated on an academic orientated teaching method. In my opinion, teachers should be creative and vivid. Beautiful introduction. Just a few grammar mistakes. Take note of these grammar mistakes, okay? And later these are going to go into your personal correction list. But great start, really impressed. Um, firstly, entertaining Firstly, an entertaining atmosphere might help students to absorb knowledge and enhance motivation to learn. Okay, and enhance their motivation to learn. Now, it's like I think the second or third time I have talked about articles or the lack of articles in your work. Now, one quick fix is to use plurals. Okay, and then we can be certain that more than likely we don't actually need an article. So I'll give you an example. Firstly, entertaining atmospheres, okay, or entertaining classrooms, that's probably better, is because atmospheres is a bit vague as a plural, but classrooms is very concrete and we can make it plural. So firstly, entertaining classrooms might help students to absorb knowledge and enhance their motivation to learn while learning. This is because it allows students to actively interact and participate in the learning process, which is organized in multiple ways. Beautiful. For example, attending language lessons by singing songs and playing instruments may facilitate memory and enlarging vocabulary. Beautiful. Okay, so here attending is actually like turning up. If what we really wanted to say, I think, was, for example, language lessons with attending less attending less language lessons that are singing songs and playing instruments may facilitate. Okay, neuroscience studies shows, wow, great vocabulary, show that when teachers use activities to make learning enjoyable and interesting, the student's brain or student's brain this student's brain can be stimulated by dopamine, no capital D, which links with pleasurable feeling, and ultimately promotes the retention of information. Okay, that's what I would have just said, because retaining information and memory storage is the same thing. And we've also already got quite a long sentence. Okay, so if we can cut a long sentence short by eliminating redundancy or duplicity, then we're on the right track. Therefore, when students are engaged and having fun during learning, they tend to be more they tend to more effectively remember information and understand at a deeper level, I think was what we wanted to say. Or they tend to be more effective remembering information and comprehending deeper, perhaps. Okay, so two variations, two suggestions there. Nevertheless, okay, so this paragraph, very solid, crystal clear, basic, straightforward. We followed the framework. That is wonderful. Well done. Okay, let's move on to body paragraph 2. Nevertheless, those believe education should be focused on serious subjects hold the fact that the happy learning is inconsistent with uh, realistic classroom environments. Okay, with realistic what? We can't have an adjective or a noun. With realistic class practices, for example. This is because in most of the countries, standardized text and rote learning is still the basic trend of education. Beautiful. Due to the limited amount of time in the class and the exam purpose stress, teachers can only base the class on the syllabus through the content of the lesson. Okay, so this needs to be completely rewritten. Go for a shorter sentence when, and you'll find there's less grammatical mistakes. Due to the limited amount of time of class time and the exam purpose stress, teachers can only base the syllabus. Okay, again, we've got this redundancy. One, basically the same thing, so let's just use one. Teachers can only base the syllabus. Okay, here I just rephrase it completely and just say, teachers tend to use a boring and tried and tested syllabus, which can often be boring and dull. Or teachers tend to use a syllabus, make a fixed syllabus, making the content of the lesson boring and dull. Okay, therefore, despite that it may lead to low motivation and less enjoyable classes, teachers still need to follow the academic-based teaching. Okay, I understand. Okay, I think we chose a difficult idea to explain about the teachers being restrained, about using traditional method. So just bear that in mind and maybe next time consider using a simpler idea to explain. To conclude, from the examples arguments given, I firmly agree that pleasant learning can arouse curiosity and internal desire for studying. Okay, full stop. This often leads to better. Okay, again, we've got this redundancy. Okay, this often leads to more academically successful students. That's all we needed to write in that sentence. Okay. In the future, the traditional learning should be improved to cater to more inclusive learning approaches. Beautiful little forward-facing final sentence. Great work. Okay, let's go. Doing an enjoyable activity with a child can develop better skills and more creativity in reading. To what extent do you agree? According to statistics from the National Literary Trust. Beautiful. Okay, so here, remember, seems we don't want to go into so specific detail right at the beginning. This is an introduction, okay? And usually the essay goes general here, general to specific in your body paragraph, and then general to specific in your next body paragraph, and then general at the end, okay? And here we're jumping right into the specifics, so try to avoid that. Anyway, according to statistics from the National Literature, only 55% of children stated that they enjoy reading. Very specific. Based on this phenomenon, some people suggest that suggest that creative play and sports can be more meaningful for children to obtain essential skills than reading books. So just start your essay here. Creative play or sports can be more meaningful for children to obtain essential skills than reading books. In my opinion, both activities and reading are vital. In both activities, reading and actually just go for both. In my opinion, both are vital for children's development. This will say, well, I analyze both views. These examples from educational institutions and famous psychologists to, to prove arguments is fine. Don't need that. Okay. And maybe just make it plural. Or I'm a famous psychologist to prove arguments. Okay, so again, I'm just creating a lot of redundancy here. And remember, we don't want to start with such specificity at the beginning. Firstly, playing and participating in the game or sports can help children to develop certain skills that reading could not provide. Beautiful. This is because some basic personal skills should only be taught physically. For example, a child would not have learned to swim, he only reads the guidebook. Beautiful. Secondly, having access to an activity with children can enhance their interactional skills instead of sitting quietly in the library, bringing them to play outside in the playground or camping, can enhance the desire to communicate with others, which will help them to build confidence as well as collaborative skills. Great. Much better than your first essay. According to research, this sentence we need to master. Okay? This is a copy-paste sentence, very useful. So have a look at the sample essays, have a look at the feedback we give you, and you'll see copy-paste sample sentences you can use. According to research from UCL or from UCL, or even acronyms are fine if we've explained them in the first instance. Okay. Is that, yeah, it's not the same as we did. So anyway, according to research from UCL, children who are more engaged at socialize with others can become more confident and are welcomed when they enter a workplace in the future. Great. You might want to simplify that though. The next time you write something like that, you might want to simplify it just to make it easier to explain. Therefore, although playing may not result in good academic scores, it can surely allow children to obtain some personal skills. Okay, fine. Great body paragraph, Wayne. We're on a great path for success. Nevertheless, never use contractions in your essay. Nevertheless, it does not mean that reading is not important. Instead, a positive reading habit is beneficial for a lifelong development. Yes, this is because books contain more. Because we use this is because first, we can say this is due to. Okay, this is due to books containing more detailed and specific knowledge and information, which is essential for expanding vocabulary and improving writing skills. Okay, expanding and improving. For example, according to statistics from Harvard University, Nobel Prize winners are those who enjoy reading, especially novels and poems. Furthermore, reading books can also stimulate imagination. For example, according to the psychologist from the International Mental Health Organization, according to psychologists, maybe, just going back to that plural rule, those who are encouraged to read history books, okay, children encouraged to read history books will tend to understand the culture and civilization will tend to understand the civilizations of other cultures easier. Okay, full stop. We don't really need to go into this because we've got it. Will tend to understand culture and civilization of ancient times. We know what ancient times are. We don't need to develop it that much, okay? Consequently, may be more creative and motivated when learning other subjects. I would have just said that, or when learning other subjects from the arts. Conclude from examples and arguments given, it is agree playing is more creative than reading. However, both methods benefit children's skills development at beautiful. Okay, full stop there. And finally, how to balance playing with reading is a crucial question for parents, and that would have been a beautiful way to finish. Excellent work there, Wen. What I want you to do is implement all the corrections that you heard, research some of the grammatical errors and the grammatical rules, and then send your corrected essay along with your error correction list of all the mistakes you made, and your 2 new essays, and we'll send them back to me, and I'll have a look at your new essays, okay? But implementing the corrections, making note, researching the errors is all part of the improvement process. So great work there. Let's keep on moving forward.